Hey, this is Steve Shermett with God's Learning Channel. Have I got a treat for you? So I'm on the set of the Chosen TV series. I told you about it before. You're going to be able to watch it on VidAngel. But I'm here with none other than Derral Eeves, the executive producer. So I had asked you off camera, what got you into this project? Why don't you tell us?
Well, I'm a believer, first off, and anything that really glorifies God is my passion. And we live in a world with filth, and it's really sad. And I see it from my kids that are growing up, and there needs to be better content out there. And so I've been passionate about putting great content out to the world. And when this project came along, I was introduced, and I saw the pilot and I was blown away, and I'm like, I need to be a part of this.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of this. And, came about that Dallas and I and a few others kind of pooled our resources together and started this vision of what the Chosen can actually be about a year ago.
So if you're hearing in the background the banging and stuff, we're on the set. It's a live and active set. We've wrapped for the day, but they're still building stuff and
we're
fixing stuff.
We're working 24/7 here. Well, 24/6.
One day off of the Sabbath, right?
That's right.
So you mentioned Dallas. I don't know if all of our audience knows who Dallas Jenkins is. What can you tell us about him?
Well, I've gotten to know Dallas pretty intense for the last year. There's something about working together, and when you have like a cohesive goal. Dallas is one of the most unique people I've ever met. He's an amazing storyteller, and his talent that God has given him to portray humanity and the things that you're able to see is just off the charts. And I love where his heart is. He has a heart of gold.
Yeah.
And this project is a culmination of his experience that he had. He had a lot of successes and had a lot of failures.
Yeah.
And it was just something that God led him to this project. And we feel the same way. We feel like we were led to this project as well.
Well, when I saw the first episode, The Shepherd, I was like blown away.
So was I.
And like yourself, I said, I got to get involved in this project. Now, I wanted to work with Dallas ever since I saw the resurrection of Gavin Stone.
Yeah.
And I was so disappointed with him and for him that didn't do so much better.
Yeah.
And I racked my brains as to why. This is quality filmmaking, you know?
I have a theory on this, and this is where I'm at, and I think this is the culmination of this project. It's like the people that make decisions with money decide how it's going to be distributed, what's going to be filmed, all this stuff from there. Not saying that that's with Gavin Stone, but other projects like that. And that model needs to change. Like for us to disrupt and bring out good quality content, we have to give it in the hearts of the people, in the hands of the people, mind you, and giving them the opportunity to say, hey, this is the type of content we want.
That's actually a beautiful segue. We had talked earlier about distribution. How can people see The Chosen?
Well, the first episode, so the pilot right now you can watch on Facebook, or you can go to
free.
That's
free.
right. Or you can go to thechosen.tv. The first episode, and I don't think we've announced this yet, and I think it's okay that we do announce it. It will be publicly for everyone to see, and it'll be on social media, and then it will be available. The rest, the other part of the series will be on VidAngel.
So when you say the first episode is going to be available to everybody, you're not talking about the pilot.
I'm not talking about the pilot.
Season 1, episode 1.
Episode 1, yeah.
Breaking news, you heard it here first. That's awesome. When do you think that'll happen?
We don't have the specific dates yet, but it'll be the springtime sometime next year.
I tell you what, people are going to see it. They're going to hit that share button, and it's going to blow up.
The thing for me though is it's like you're able to kind of be a part of it, and be on set and actually be an extra, and see the interaction, and the depth of the characters is what I'm the most excited about. Just because it's like all these other, biblical shows about Jesus, it shows Jesus, and like I have a hard time relating with the Son of God. I don't know if you do or not.
Yeah.
But I have a very difficult time doing that. But when Peter's struggling, or when Nicodemus is struggling, or Andrew's struggling, or Matthew's struggling, those are the type of people that have human flaws. And when they come to get to know and accept Christ, that's the moment where they're deciding whether they become a follower, a true disciple, or they don't.
I think, kind of like you were saying, when I see my own flaws in God's eyes, But when I see him forgiving others
Yeah.
and dealing with others, when Peter denies Jesus, but Jesus still loves him,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel you. And
Yeah.
it makes me feel closer to him as well.
And I think personally, this project will help people relate to those that Jesus did choose. I mean, that's why the series called The Chosen, is because Jesus chose certain people to follow. And these people weren't like the best people of the world, like from other people's perspective.
Right.
You know, some of them were the lowliest of the low.
Well, he's got Matthew, who was a tax collector.
Now that is funny.
You know?
I can only imagine the conversations when Jesus like, hey Matthew, why don't you come here, and like he was.
And the other guys are like,
wait, you want him?
right? Then I'm out. If he's coming, I'm out. Yeah.
No, but seriously, I could just imagine those conversations, because like what I didn't know in the time of Jesus is there was like 70% taxes from the Romans on the people. It was like huge oppression. And so there was a lot of starvation, a lot of hunger. And I always wondered, why was there always talking about hunger and, drink and food? But it was like Romans came in and they had their tax, and the tax needed to be paid. I mean,
And it's a huge thing. Most people don't know this, but the tax collectors were authorized to take more.
Exactly.
So you got to give us 30% or whatever it is. Whatever you can get on top of that, that's yours.
Yeah.
So they were like paid to extort.
So if they were 70% going from Rome, and if they were able to extort more, I mean,
how do you make a living?
Exactly.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah. But what I love is there are human trials and issues that we all face every day, regardless of if it's financial, physical, emotional, whatever. That's what we're bringing together here in The Chosen, is to be able to showcase that in a way that when someone is able to recognize Jesus and knows of his greatness and glory, and has a desire to follow, you're able to see that change, that transformation in their lives.
I had the privilege of reading the first 4 episodes.
Oh, I didn't know you got to read all 4.
I got them.
Oh, wow.
Well, actually,
Hey, so
I read
wait.
number 4.
Okay.
The other 3 are sitting on my computer waiting to be read.
Okay, I do have a question. If you read number 4, okay, so when I first read the first couple episodes, I'm like, oh man, this is like so amazing. But episode 4
It's powerful.
It is like probably the most powerful episode. There's a couple parts in other episodes, but as a whole.
Well, see, I was going to say that in a lot of programs, there's this was cool, but this just keeps going. There's going to be tears.
Yeah.
There's going to be joy, but there's going to be people who weren't interested in Jesus, who I believe will now become interested in Jesus because of The Chosen.
Our goal, our mission is people that are just casual followers of Jesus will be re-engaged into the Bible. Really digging deep in what's happening and in Jesus, what he taught. Our another goal is people that don't know anything about it. Like, this gives a vehicle to say, hey, go watch this, and people that aren't believers are able to start feeling what they need to feel and being on the path to really know Jesus.
I kind of anticipate, generally speaking, people who love Jesus are going to want to see this. But then people who are distant from Jesus, like the Jewish community, I think they're going to see this and appreciate it and enjoy it. The Muslim community, they have a respect for Jesus, so I think they'll see it and enjoy it. Secularists, I think it's going to be broad-based.
Yeah.
I think this is going to take the world by storm. I really do. I think this is going to be the next big thing, and I'm excited to be a part of it. Thanks for bringing me in. I appreciate it.
I really do appreciate you coming in. And I think the big thing for us is like the wave of media is transforming and the world's changing, and what we need is people to know about the project, you know, and that's the difference. Is like we need people following us on Facebook, we need people following us on YouTube, because at the end of the day, when something's good, we need to share it, and that's the difference with the world. We need to be able to share all goodness out there and really counterbalance that evil that because
and this is the way to do it. You know the numbers, I don't, but a good TV show might have a few million people watching. But when you stream something and you make it available, you can have tens of millions, hundreds of millions. This can go all over the world.
Well, what I love is the pilot episode was shown in Iran, and we had over 2 million people in Iran seeing it.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, you're right. It can be distributed worldwide.
Okay, thechosen.tv. thechosen.tv, and you can also find them on Facebook. Follow, hit like, it matters. And if you haven't seen the pilot yet called The Shepherd, you can find it on YouTube, you can find it on Facebook, you can find it on thechosen.tv. I strongly encourage you to see it. That was a low budget taste of what you're going to see in this television series.
So excited.
God bless you, and I'll see you next time.
What's really interesting about The Chosen is that this project was actually born out of one of the biggest professional disappointments of my life. My previous film, we had just gotten the news that the box office wasn't going to be what we had hoped. And I was stuck at home on a Friday with my wife at pretty much the lowest point of my career, crying and praying and trying to make sense of it all and trying to figure out what was next. But I'll never forget that God pressed on both of our hearts so clearly and so explicitly the story of the feeding of the 5,000. When Jesus heard from his disciples that the people he was talking to were so hungry, he knew that already. It was as if he had intentionally allowed it to get to this point, where the only thing left was a miracle. And then once he multiplied it, he had them go deliver it to all the people. He had them do everything that they could do on their own, until the only thing that was left was the thing that only he could do, the miracle. That same night, I was sitting at my computer, 3 o'clock in the morning, a Facebook message pops up, and the message simply said, didn't even say hi, just simply said, remember, your job is not to feed the 5,000. Your job is only to provide the loaves and the fish. So I said to him, why did you just text me that? And he said, I don't really know, I just felt God leading me to tell you that. So a couple months later, I decided to make a short film about the birth of Christ from the perspective of the shepherds, and it was just a story that had been on my heart for several years, and it was just intended for our church's Christmas Eve service. My friend, who's now my partner in this project, Matthew Faraci, I sent him the short film, and I said, check this out, just let me know what you think, because I think it's special. He watched it and said, do you mind if I show it to some friends of mine who run this company called VidAngel?
He didn't tell me anything about it, he just sent it, and by the end, I was crying, and this flood of exactly like, this can be a pilot. And I didn't even know what the TV series was yet. I just knew Matthew said there was a TV series. I was like, this can be a pilot, which afterwards will stick a pitch of Dallas, that we can fund a TV show based on this pilot. We'll launch the entire pilot on Facebook. Every step all the way up till launch was all like, just boom, right in my lap. So I say, Neil, did you watch it? I think this is the project that we're going to start VidAngel Studios with. I think we found our project. And he said, we're not starting VidAngel Studios on a Bible video.
And Jeffrey said, just watch it. And so I sat down and I put on my headphones and started to watch this film. And the rest of the office and the rest of the world just disappeared, and just felt my heart shout for joy. Me, farm boy from Idaho, could see through the eyes of that shepherd and be there for Christ's birth. It was just done in such a fresh and new way. And then I pull off my headphones and Jeffrey looked at me and I said, this is why we made VidAngel.
Well, how are we going to convince the guy to do it? Like, we have never done this before. Just this big concern about how are we going to convince Dallas to work with us?
And I just thought, hey man, at this point, I'm just bringing the loaves and fish. So whatever, I'd gotten to this point where literally my hands were just open and I was just open to whatever God was going to do. So I said, hey, let's take a crack at it.
And he kept saying, I will be impressed if we raise over $800. And I've been thinking about, I've got to build a team around Dallas to give him the ability to raise this money, because it can't, he's got to have the right team. He hasn't done this before, and none of us have.
And we were just looking around a little laptop and watching the shepherd for the first time. There was the moment where the shepherd was being kicked out of the synagogue. He wanted to learn, he wanted to know about this Messiah, and he was rejected. And what I love is what he did next. He noticed someone in need and was able to help them out, and he was able to serve that water is so symbolic. I just got where this was going. I got where the power of this was, but I didn't know the depth of how it would affect me. I just knew that everything that I have done in my life up to this point in my business was leading me to this moment. And I remember talking to Jeffrey, and I says, I don't care what I need to do. If I just need to hold the light, I want to be a part of this. And he laughed. He goes, no, well, we need you to build the audience. We need someone to actually run this.
There's an element of this project that isn't about numbers. It's about depth, and it's about another thing that seems, oftentimes feels like impossible math, and that's the impact that it has. And so now when I get a Facebook message from someone who says, the 8-year-old daughter of our youth pastor, while she was being baptized, said that what brought her to Christ was watching the pilot episode of The Chosen and realizing that she was lost and broken like the shepherd was and needed the Savior. That's a multiplication of loaves and fish that can't be quantified in numbers.
Every single time I'm on a plane, or I am on a train, or I'm meeting a new stranger, I'm always sharing the gospel with them. And the idea of having a medium that can reach tens of millions of people in a way that I was impacted by the shepherd is not only humbling, but really, really exciting.
If I look at the last 75 years of the messages that have been coming out through the mainstream media, the majority of it is far from edifying. I think the world is waiting for a group of people like the people who are backing The Chosen to stand up and do something different and show people a different way to do this. As soon as that is out there and it's done well, it will be received with the same kind of joy that I received that pilot when it was first made.
I know a lot of people see this as a project, a series that they're able to sit down and really enjoy as a family. But what I really see from this is an opportunity to share the good word with the rest of the world. And that's why I'm super passionate about this project.
God has done enough already to indicate that he's got a whole lot more to do. All I know is that I've brought my loaves and fishes. All I know is that the people that I'm working with have brought their loaves and fishes. And all I know is that the people from around the world who have invested are bringing their loaves and fishes, and we're just going to let God multiply it.
All right, it wasn't easy, but we were able to rustle up Dallas Jenkins.
Oh yeah, I'm such a big celebrity, it's hard to kind of pull me away from all my fans. But
Actually, he's exhausted, and I promised I'd only have him for a couple of minutes.
No.
I got to watch you work today.
yeah, well, you got to work with me today.
I did that
Yes.
also, but it was a pleasure from both sides.
Oh yes, it was, for sure. Thank you.
I've worked with a few directors. I've never seen one take as big an interest in the characters, the actors' performance as you have.
Oh,
And I
well, good.
appreciated that.
Well, I think that it's important that for a show like this, especially an original series that has multiple seasons, you can't sustain yourself if you're just trying to make it nothing but visual excitement. The point of this whole series is character, and that's the thing I love the most, and it's what this series is really about, introducing audiences to the characters that Jesus touched, and from a fresh, introducing them to Jesus from a fresh perspective. And so that is very dependent on the performances, and so I spend more time on that than anything else.
Well, from what I witnessed, you definitely got it. It's going to be
thank you.
amazing. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, and you did a very nice job. It's
thank you.
acting debut with me at least, and it was good.
That's not going to be edited. We're keeping that. That's staying.
Yes.
So I did want to ask you a couple things. This is always fun, but there's always trials. So let's tell me
Yes.
about the hard times, and then tell me about the good times.
Well, this whole show, from the time that we came up with the idea through the fundraising and to the shooting, has been a challenge. Almost every stage has had its fair share of hurdles that we've had to overcome that we didn't expect or that we were hoping weren't there. And the whole thing has been a test of, in many ways, everybody's, but in I think especially my patience and my willingness to surrender. The story we've been using as our inspiration through the whole show and through the whole process is the story of the loaves and fishes. And it's not my job to feed the 5,000, it's my job to provide the loaves and fish. We talked about that together a few weeks ago. And so every time that there's a bad moment or a surprising situation that we didn't account for, or in the case of the shooting, there's been rain that has impacted the crew and has impacted a lot of the shooting.
So you're talking about the mud and those kind of problems with the rain?
Yeah, and so on this project, there's been a lot of rain, which has slowed everybody down. And so during those processes, I just think to myself, this is what that story was all about. I am not responsible to feed the 5,000, and so we just watch to see what God does. So there's been plenty of quote-unquote low points, but I really have a different perspective on it now than I did in my previous.
I could tell when you shared with me a couple weeks ago, and you said something about this on one of your YouTube segments, and you talked about the loaves and fishes. I saw it on Facebook.
Yeah,
and it stuck with me.
Yeah, it's just I've kind of like, this is God's project ultimately, and all I can do is everything that I'm capable of, and then whatever's left is up to Him, and it's His miracle. So
now I want to ask you about your high point, but before I let you talk, I saw something on video. You put it out on social media. It's you giving a big hug for a long time to a man in a robe. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, the actor who's playing Jesus, I've worked with him before. He's played Jesus for me before in some short films and vignettes. He's a very dear friend. And this role is obviously very personal to him. He's a believer and he takes it very seriously. And we are capturing Jesus in a way that really hasn't been captured before, for better or worse. We're showing as much a human side as a divine side. We are showing Jesus by himself. We're showing him interacting with children. We're showing him getting injured. We're showing him praying in earnest and in at times frustration. We're showing him preparing a meal for himself as he's camping out at night. Lots of little things, and also showing the side of him in the characters that he interacted with. People like Simon Peter and Matthew and Nicodemus and whatnot. And in that, we feel a very great responsibility. So right before we were about to shoot the very first shot of the very first episode, he and I just spontaneously just kind of looked at each other and hugged, and it was just a very strong moment of we're about to embark on something that's one of the most important things in our lives. And we feel a great responsibility, but also a great privilege, and we're doing this together. And this show is going to sink or swim in many ways on his performance and also on our partnership working together. So just kind of an important way to start off the show.
It's beautiful, my friend. Thank you so much for sharing, taking time out of your very busy week
to
share with us. And listen, you got to go to thechosen.tv. And if you haven't seen the pilot episode, The Shepherd, you got to see that. Also follow along on Facebook and share with all of your friends. This is going to be big. And we appreciate everything that you do with us and for us. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.
All right, so we have finished the last 2 days in the Hammer. The Hammer is the name of the bar. A bit of gambling goes on there, a bit of just hanging out goes on there from the fisherman class. This is where they get away from the Romans, get away from kind of the pressures of their day. And as you know, this is the kind of place where Pharisees and Sadducees would never hang out, but where Jesus just might, so that he can go to where the people who need him most are.
We're clearing the way for the Lord.
We?
Leveling the playing field. Yeah, we. Go.
Yes. You? Right, okay. And then what do you say? So yeah, we is the end of that line for you?
It's the end of my line, but
Great.
if you interrupted me the first
No, right.
then I
You guys get
going.
closer while you talk.
But I mean my next line.
Yeah.
So can we do that again?
We're clearing the way for the Lord.
We?
Leveling the playing field. Yeah, we.
You will be cursed.
We're clearing the way for the Lord.
We?
Leveling the playing field. Yeah. We.
You will be cursed if you inform on them. We? Not doing
No,
it.
fine. Andrew, that's fine.
This is one of the best sets we've had the entire show. Probably top 2 or 3 in terms of the richness of it and the texture. It's really important when you're building a set that there's texture and a little bit of depth, so that when the characters are talking, that you've got a backdrop that they are in that really looks rich.
Thanks for coming, Zebedee.
Oh, the boys didn't have to twist my arm too hard to get me to have a drink.
The problem was the dust and the dirt and the smoke. By the end of the day, our noses and ears and everything were completely filled with dirt, but it was worth it because it looked great.
Here's one.
That was a good one.
Thanks for
That wasn't bad. Wasn't bad.
Cough.
That was a good one.
And when you when you say, sorry, I can't help you, they're playing you, kid. Sorry, I can't help you. Start to get up.
Oh,
And just at least make a motion towards it. He'll stop you pretty quick.
Got it.
Sorry, I can't help you.
You fished the Gregesa shore last night.
We've also started to, as we get to the end of the shoot, we're starting to lose some of our main actors. They've wrapped. We'll do what's called a picture wrap, where we say this person is done, give them a little quick celebration, and that's been really bittersweet. The reason it's been bittersweet is because on one hand we're sad to lose them, but on the other hand, I've been just hearing comments from several of our actors, a dozen or so, who have used the term life-changing or truly impactful to be working on this project. So be proud of the fact that your prayers and your contributions to this project are not only paying off in what we're putting together, but also just the relationships that we're building on set.
This is how I make all my deals. It just appeared in my hands. I don't know where.
What
it
I'm
just...
saying!
I'm having a moment BTS here.
What?
Forget it.
The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to the captives. And recovering of sight to the blind. To set at liberty those who are oppressed. And to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor.
What do you want from me?